Maybe you've just heard about human design, or somebody showed you their human design chart, or maybe they even showed you your chart. Or maybe you've just been hearing about it and you're curious and you're wondering, what is it and why should I care? So this video will introduce you to the foundations of human design and give you a sense of what human design is and what it can do for you and what it's not, because there are some misconceptions about human design. And I'm going to walk you through the illustrious legacies that human design draws upon so that you can see really the richness that the system has to offer you. And this will appeal to you if you're kind of metaphysically minded, if you like things like tarot and astrology and numerology, or just ways of understanding that their world is more, and the universe is more than just physical. It's energetic as well. It's metaphysical, right? So it will appeal to you if you're that kind of person. But if you're like really Western scientifically minded and you need like peer-reviewed articles and double-blind studies to believe something, this isn't going to be your cup of tea, because it really doesn't live in that realm. And the truth is if you come from that realm, even if you're kind of open, but you're still really how you think about it, it'll be hard for you to get the benefit of what human design is all about, because it doesn't live in that realm. It lives in another realm, another dimension, and it's kind of magical. So I'm excited to share it with you if this is something that you feel drawn to. So let's explore together. Sometimes people think human design is a personality system, like it will tell me my personality, it'll tell me who I am. It's not really a personality system. It's not like Myers-Briggs. It's not like Strength Finder. It's not even like the Enneagram. It is a spiritual and energetic system that will help show you the potential that you have energetically to be inhabiting and expressing really beautiful energies that are yours, provided that you're not rejecting them or suppressing them due to conditioning, which unfortunately a lot of us do. We need to do a lot of conditioning a lot of times to really get in touch with our design. But if you are able to do that, right, these core energies that are always there for you and that are always helping you to live your life in certain ways, it'll also show you variable energies that you also will have experienced thousands and thousands of times over the course of your life. But these energies you're going to experience differently depending on who you're around, depending on where the planets are, because this is a planetary system. And also it'll depend on where you are in your life experience to a degree. So there's a lot of different factors that will contribute to how you are experiencing those variable energies, but you do have access to all of them. Human design has 9 centers, 36 channels, 64 gates, has over 125 different archetypes. It's a complex and really elegant system. And it can show you many, many things, but it's really a journey. It's really something that you discover as you continue to explore it. 2 key benefits that human design provides you with is, first of all, is knowing how to step by step co-create with spirit, co-create with the creative intelligence of the universe. I know that as I had my spiritual awakening started really about 30 years ago, and I started diving in and I explored lots of different things, I always thought it was great to co-create with spirit, and I did the whole affirmations thing and all of that. But my results were always really mixed. I was like, sometimes, I would get great results, and other times it was like, I just couldn't get where I wanted to go. And I was like, I don't really understand how this thing works with connecting with spirit. And human design, when I discovered it, and I realized that it was like, oh, I need to operate like this, everything in my life changed. Is amazing. And so just know that is a huge benefit that it has to provide you with. And related to that is how you are best designed to make decisions. And let's just think about decisions for a minute, right? Decisions are choices. And in many ways, our lives are the result of the choices that we've made throughout the course of our life, right? We decided to go this way and not to go this way, or to act like this and not to act like that, or to take this in or to reject that. Whatever it is, we're constantly making decisions. We're constantly making choices. And so human design shows you the best way that you're designed to make decisions for you. What a huge relief, right? The thing is both your strategy, which is how you're designed to dance with the flow of life or the creative intelligence of the universe, and the way that you're designed to make decisions, they're all intuitive. None of it is logical, reasonable, rational, strategic, or linear. So that's why I said, if you're really more left brain dominant, if you're really more into that Western scientific method, right, it's really hard to access these because they live in a different realm. And I think for all of us, we've been pretty trained to think that we need to be able to go do research on something. We need to find out where something's come from. We need to trust the experts and all of that, right? That's very much the kind of left brain dominance that we've been trained into. And so what I want to do is to show you, as I said, these illustrious legacies. There are really 4 ancient wisdom traditions that human design draws upon. It's not the same as it morphs and changes and in its own way evolves at all of those different systems that it draws upon into its own kind of coherent whole. I think of human design really as an evolving consciousness. It was gifted to us from spirit through the eccentric and mystical Rahu in 1987, and we've had the blessing of being able to work with it since then, and we're continuing to evolve it. So it's an evolving system, and it also helps us show how to evolve both individually and collectively. So let's take a look at these 4 different ancient wisdom traditions and how they show up in the human design system. And my purpose here is to help you see really how strong and profound the grounding of human design is. And I hope to spark your interest so you'll want to know more. This first image is a fairly standard human design chart. It probably looks different maybe than other ones you've seen, but it has the basic information that you usually get when you download a human design chart. It has what we call the body graph in the middle, right? Which has all of the shapes and the lines and the colors and the numbers and all of that, right? This is the part that most people are familiar with. And then it also has the lines of numbers and the planetary symbols and that other lines of data. Okay, so this is pretty typical of how a human design chart will look. If you already have yours, it'll have these elements. Then this image is of the human design mandala. And I love the mandala. The mandala, in effect, it contains the entire human design system within it. And that's why I really like to show it. And now, if you go to yourfreehumandesignchart.com, you can download both of these images. You can get your standard human design chart, but you can also get your mandala, which is really unusual. I used to always have to manually run these for people on professional software. And now I'm able to offer them to you just when you go ahead and log in for your chart. So, I highly encourage you to go and get it, because it's really, I think, as I said, I think of human design as a living, evolving system, and it will transmit to you when you gaze at the image. So let's break down what you're looking at when you look at the mandala. So in this image, all the way around the outside of it are the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching. So the I Ching is a very, very ancient system known as the Book of Changes. It's Chinese, and it's considered a deep well of wisdom. And it is a divination system, so you can use it to help you understand potentially how things will unfold if you go in one direction or another direction. So it is helping you to work with your own inner guidance in a particular way to help you know how to make decisions in your life. Okay, so the 64 hexagrams are related to the 64 gates of the human design system. So here you can see inside of the hexagrams are the numbers of the gates. And they are not in what we think of as numerical order, they're in a kind of mystical order. So don't necessarily try to find the order in the numbers or think that anything's gone out of order. They're just in a mystical order, which you probably don't understand. And honestly, I don't entirely understand, but it's okay. You don't need to know it in order to get the benefit from the system for sure. So then in the next image, you can see inside of the gates are the astrological symbols. So the human design mandala is related to the wheel of astrology. And so it does also look at where the planets move through time. So these astrological symbols, right, it shows us how we move around the course of the year through the astrological wheel, right? Well, human design does it somewhat differently, but it also has that same journey of the planets around the wheel. Astrology, which again is thousands of years old and was used by many people, was considered quite authoritative until we got to the so-called Age of Enlightenment or the Age of Reason, which is only about 400 years ago, right? Which is when we started really focusing just on material reality. But before that, astrology was a big part of many different ways of people operating in the world. Leaders had their astrologers. You had to know astrology in order to be able to be a medical professional, to be a doctor, because you needed to know somebody's astrology to be able to do that. People arranged marriages based on astrology. People used astrology to plan when they were going to do things, right? So astrology, again, is another ancient wisdom tradition, has been used by millions of people, really, for thousands of years around the planet. So again, we've got, another really potent system that we're drawing upon here. So in this next image, you can see the planets are just right inside the gates there. If you look over on the left-hand side of this image, you'll see there's a cluster of planetary symbols that are inside of the gates. Even if you don't know what the symbols mean, you can see there are different symbols in there. And that really has to do with what has been happening astrologically, where Neptune and Saturn, and also earlier in the year, Mars and Venus were going back and forth between Pisces and Aries. And this is a big astrological shift that we're all in. And so we can see it right here in this human design chart, which was drawn at the time when this was happening. And so this is how it relates to astrology. You can take a look there and see that the place on the astrological wheel is Pisces and Aries, and all of those gates where those planets are related to those astrological signs, right? So there is definitely a high correlation there. We do understand it a little bit differently in human design. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about that. I have a lot of other videos that you can watch for that. So then if we go even right into the center of the mandala, you'll see there is the body graph, right? It's that same symbol, right? We've got the centers that come down. We've got the lines that go through that connect all the centers together. So let's take a look at where the body graph comes from. So as you might imagine, the shapes that you see are energy centers, and they're related to the chakra system. So we already had the I Ching, and we also had astrology, and now we're coming to the chakra system. The chakra system comes out of Hinduism, and it has the basis of the yoga traditions, and I am a certified radiant body yoga teacher, and so I've worked with the chakra system a lot. And there aren't just 7 chakras, there's actually thousands of them throughout the course of our body, but we tend to focus on those in the West. And then in the human design system, there are 9 centers, which are related to the chakras, but they are also different. So it's important not to just think that they're the same as the chakras, because they're not. They have a little bit of different qualities, which is actually quite interesting. But just to remember, the yoga traditions, right, are thousands and thousands of years old. They're practiced by millions of people around the world, right? All of these different systems have been. And so this is something that has really been tested throughout time, and it has a kind of yogic science to it. It's not the same as Western science, and yet there's a real profundity to tracking what's going on with the human energy field that was developed in Asia that we really didn't have to the same degree in the West. And here we have the tree of life that comes out of the Kabbalah, which is part of the Judaic tradition. Again, thousands of years old, practiced by millions of people, right? And it is a system that helps to guide us into how to engage with our spiritual life. How do we evolve? How do we become more spiritually aware? And so all of these systems are designed to help us do that. All of these systems are designed to help us get in touch with the energy that is going on inside of us and to be able to get guidance from the inside of us rather than looking outside of us for other things to tell us what to do or who we are or how we should be or any of that. They're all about how do we align? How do we come in alignment with spirit, right? And what are the energies that are here for us to utilize? And how can we work with the planets? And how can we work holographically with the universe, if you will, to be able to understand what our best decisions are and how we are going to co-create with life? So this is an elegant and sophisticated system. It's not something you're going to learn overnight. I don't expect you to really understand the depth of these different traditions or even how they all go together inside of human design, right? This is an introduction to help you, I hope, be kind of relax into feeling like, oh, this is where human design comes from. It has such rich traditions it calls from. And so I hope it sparks your interest to want to know more. So the next video that's going to come up, and especially if you're new to human design, is about decoding your human design chart. So I would encourage you to go and get your human design chart at yourfreehumandesignchart.com and get the mandala too, because it talks about the mandala as well. There's things, and there's actually 2 videos about how to decode your chart. And it'll show you what all of those different elements are. So it'll be great for you to have your chart and have your mandala so that you can follow along as you go through those videos. And I have hundreds of videos about human design education on my channel. And the Start Here playlist, which is what you're going to see up here at the end, is a great way for you to dive in. All right, my friends, many blessings, much love. Welcome to the wonderful world of human design, and I hope to see you again in a new video very soon. Bye for now.